This is BAWLER. Hello, I have prepared an important and interesting video for you. Subscribe and write in the comments what you think about it. At precisely 7:11 in the morning on June 10th, 2025, something extraordinary happened at the Houthis' most critical port. In a matter of seconds, the main cargo pier vanished in a fountain of shattered steel and concrete, and the port's control building collapsed straight into its own basement. There were no jets, no sirens, and no warning, just horizontal death arriving at 280 meters per second from the sea. The missiles, launched from the Israeli Navy's stealthy Sa'ar 6 class Corvette INS Magan, skimmed the waves so low that Yemen's radar systems never even saw them. This wasn't just an airstrike, it was a technological ambush. One warhead punched through 3 meters of concrete, locked onto an elevator shaft, and navigated straight to a hidden underground bunker. Within 10 seconds, Israel had obliterated the Houthis' operational nerve center. This attack was unlike anything Israel had previously done. INS Magan, slicing through the Red Sea at 18 knots, positioned itself 300 kilometers from the Houthi coast. Designed with stealth in mind, its radar signature mimics that of a fishing boat thanks to German engineering and Israeli innovation. But more than stealth, Magan is equipped to counter modern threats like drone swarms, 20, 30, even 50 drones at once, using its state-of-the-art ELM-2248MF star radar. This system updates 30 times a second and can track 300 targets simultaneously. Since October 2023, Houthis had grown accustomed to Israeli airstrikes from above, F-35s dropping bombs from high altitude, F-15s firing long-range missiles. Their defenses were all pointed skyward, but this time Israel came in low, delivering a knockout punch while the Houthis had their chin raised for an aerial threat. At 7:03 a.m., Magan received its firing order. The ship's Gabriel 5 cruise missiles launched seconds later. First one, then the second. They ascended, then dove, flying just 3 meters above the sea. Their path was deliberately convoluted, threading between ships, using islands for cover, and exploiting radar blind spots. Each missile navigated using GPS, inertial guidance, and terrain-matching radar. The Houthis had decent coastal defenses, a mix of old Soviet and newer Iranian systems, but all of them were calibrated to detect threats from above, not sea-skimming cruise missiles flying below the radar horizon. At 7:09 a.m., the missiles hit their final approach. Their radar and infrared seekers activated. Each missile recognized specific thermal signatures: an L-shaped pier, a hot basement in a control building, and differentiated real targets from decoys with AI-driven precision. At 7:11, the first missile hit the main support column of the pier. Israeli engineers had identified it as the structural weak point. The explosion traveled at nearly 7,000 meters per second, turning concrete to dust and launching rebar like hypersonic shrapnel. In just milliseconds, a 60-meter section of pier was gone. 2 seconds later, the second missile plunged 10 meters deep into the command center's underground bunker before detonating. The confined space created a deadly pressure wave, smashing through reinforced concrete and folding steel beams like paper. Above, the control building imploded as the basement collapsed, dragging 4 stories of infrastructure into the void. Fire and secondary explosions engulfed what remained. By 7:11 and 30 seconds, the port was destroyed. The pier no longer existed, the control center was a crater, and the command bunker had become a tomb. Yet, the Houthis were not finished. At 7:51 p.m. that same day, 30 kilometers inland from Sana'a, the Houthis launched a retaliatory strike. A massive truck-mounted system raised a 12-meter-long Birkin-3 ballistic missile, an Iranian-upgraded Scud-C, capable of reaching 1,200 kilometers and threatening all of Israel. With a 250-kilogram warhead, the missile was intended to level a city block. By 7:52 p.m., the missile launched. A defense support program satellite spotted the plume within a fraction of a second. The alert was relayed from the Pentagon to Tel Aviv and then to the Israeli Kira defense complex. Within just over 2 seconds, every air defense battery in Israel was on alert. Israel's Green Pine radar system locked onto the missile within 4 seconds of launch. This high-powered L-band radar calculated its trajectory, impact point, Greater Tel Aviv area, time to impact 7 minutes 23 seconds. The task of interception fell to Israel's Arrow 3 system. At 8:03 p.m., an Arrow 3 interceptor launched from Ramat Air Base. Traveling at 8 Gs, it climbed into space, its electronics protected by ablative coatings from the searing heat of re-entry. At 72 kilometers altitude, the interceptor found its mark. The kinetic kill vehicle, traveling at over 12,000 kilometers per hour, slammed into the Birkin missile. The impact delivered over 800 megajoules of energy, causing the warhead to disintegrate. no detonation, no impact on Tel Aviv, just shattered debris tracked by radar to ensure no pieces could cause harm. The missile was gone, the warhead tumbled harmlessly into the sea. Another day, another crisis averted, but with each exchange the stakes rise higher and the margin for error grows thinner.